Are you looking for a script or what to say to a seller that you just set a listing appointment with so that you can pre-qualify them and make sure you really do want to go out on this appointment? And by the way, we're working on this program of how to take 2 listings per month. We scheduled an appointment with them and we want to make sure that we did the right thing and this is going to actually pan out. If that's something you want to hear about, you're in the right place. Stick around. Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with 2 listings per month. And what we'd like to talk about on this video is you've went ahead and scheduled an appointment. By the way, if you have curiosity on how to do that, we've made 2 other videos. Go ahead and look for them on the channel where we've talked about how do you take an inbound call from a for sale by owner, how do you take an inbound call from an expired listing, and get from there to scheduling an appointment. Once you schedule the appointment, now we want to, on that very same call, we're going to qualify the appointment to make sure we still want to go out on the appointment. So I want to make sure you get that logic. I want to set the appointment before I really know if I want to go on the appointment. Sounds silly, doesn't it? But I believe that that's better because you're going to find out where that mind of the seller is. And if they're willing to meet with you, if they are, awesome, we've won the battle. Now we're going to go back in and make sure we actually want to go out there and join with them. Okay. And so that's what this call is about, is the qualifying questions of right after you've scheduled the appointment with them. You're going to say, hey, so that I can better prepare for our meeting, I have a couple quick questions. That's our transition into these pre-appointment qualifying questions. All right, and here are the questions. When the home sells, where are you planning to move? Now, you may have already asked that, by the way, in my script earlier, depending on which way you came in. If you don't know the answer, ask it just the way I did. If you know the answer, then instead just turn it into a confirmation question. So let me run through that again. You say, hey, when the home sells, where are you planning to move? And they tell you. If they'd already told you just a minute before, because remember we're in another script, and they said, they're going to move to Houston. And so at this point, you say, hey, my understanding is when you sell this home, you're moving to Houston. Is that correct? Boom. It's a confirmation question to make sure you understand what they're doing. All right. Next question is, in a perfect world, when do you want to be there? All right. And so they're going to tell you. Now you know their timing. And again, and with some of my other scripts, you may already know the answer to this. They may have already answered. If they had, then you just turn this around and make it a confirmation statement, which is, my understanding is that you want to sell this home and you want to be there by X. Okay, by November, by February, by January, by June, or whatever they had told you, or by a certain date, or by a certain event, like kids going back to school, or whatever. You want to get that information and lock down their timing. Okay, so if they've already told you, you make the confirmation. If you haven't got the answer yet, you're going to ask in an open-ended question. In the perfect world, when do you want to be there? All right, the next thing is combining the two. It's the reason you had to say this, even if you had already asked them earlier. And here's the question. What's important to you about being an X by X? Okay, so let me give you an example. What's important to you about being in Houston by August? Okay, now they're going to get another level deep in the motivation. What is important about that? I got a job transfer. I'm getting married. I'm getting divorced. My kid just started school down there, and I want to move next to him. I got. I don't know. They could have a lot of things. My parents aren't doing well, and I want to move down there to be with them. So there's positive and negative events happening in their life. They're going to tell you what it is and why they want to be there and the timing. You got to tie that all in together because that's why they're making this move. It's going to be their motivation for making the smart choices when you get into the listing presentation, right? Because if they've got this price they want in their head that's way up here and unrealistic, and yet they need to be in Houston for a certain event, then you can say, you could probably get that price if you had a long time if you don't mind taking 6 months to get there. But if you need to be in Houston in a month, we probably need to price it here. Can you see that? And I've given them all the information. That's another call, by the way. But I've given the information on when things are selling, how long they're taking to sell, days on market, etc. All right. So that's why we're asking this question. I'm now qualifying them, and I want to make sure these people are serious, because if I get to this question, they go, oh, it doesn't matter when I get to Houston. Yeah, if I get there now, great. If it takes a year, if it takes 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. I want to make sure they're not BSing me on that. But if they're really of that mindset, I got to decide if I want to go out there. Okay. So I'm just listening to the information. All right. Next question we're going to ask is, hey, what improvements have you made in this home since you've been living there that might impact the home's value and selling price? And they are either going to start listing stuff off, or they're going to say, what do you mean? And you say, well, have you made an addition to the house? Major items that you've done. They're usually going to start running through a list. Well, we changed out the refrigerator and we took the stain off the carpet. Yeah, sometimes they're little minor things, and sometimes they're major. We added a second garage, or we put a giant shed in the back, or we threw up some skylights. They're going to say whatever it is. We made an addition to the house. We popped the top. I'm in Denver, and sometimes they'll take a 1-story and pop the top and make 2 stories. Some major changes. They'll tell you they finished off a basement, or they'll tell you they haven't done much at all. Whatever you're trying to figure out, if there's anything that won't be seen in the public record that they've changed, right, as you're doing your research. Okay, next question you're going to ask is, hey, or statement you're going to make here, I'm going to email you a meeting confirmation, my resume, a detailed pricing analysis that's going to allow you to look at comparable homes, and my marketing plan of action. Can you review that prior to our meeting? Cool. What is your best email address? And what's the best phone number to call if I have questions as I'm preparing to meet with you about your home? So there's a lot packed in there. Let's kind of break that down. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to send them a confirmation. I'm telling them I'm going to send them my resume so they know who's coming by. I'm going to tell them, hey, and this is the bigger one, I'm going to send you this price analysis. And what I'm going to do, by the way, is I'm going to send them the comps. I'm not going to send them the conclusion, but I'm going to send them the comps where you can go online into your MLS and they can click through and they can see all the pictures. And I want that so they can do all that live picture looking before I get there. Right? That's the reason I'm sending that out to them, is they can see what their neighbor's home is and what it looks like. And they can click on the picture and go, oh man, the neighbor's completely stripped out their kitchen and put a brand new kitchen in. I didn't know that. Right? I want them to come to that realization before I get there. And then my marketing plan of action. And then I ask them, hey, can you review that before a meeting? About half of them will, half of them won't. But if they do, I'm way ahead in the meeting, and it's going to go a lot faster. Okay. In fact, I plan on doing a video where I show you what we're going to do in that listing presentation. All right. So that's that question. And and then, by the way, I also am picking up their email and phone number if I haven't already gotten that information. If I have, I don't need to get that. I may turn it into a confirmation statement. My understanding is your email address is blank and the best phone number for you is blank. Is that true? Good. I want to make sure we're on the same page and I can get back in touch with them. All right, next, our meeting should be about 30 minutes. So I'm setting the expectation. It's not going to be a long meeting, but it's not going to be a 2-minute meeting. Hey, our meeting is going to be about 30 minutes. We're going to cover how to maximize your price in this market, how long it's going to take to sell, how much you're going to walk out of closing with. And then at the end of our meeting, we can discuss if we want to work together and whether it makes sense or not. Does that sound fair? Okay, so you see what we did there is we kind of laid out the agenda for the meeting. And it's the things they want to know about. Excuse me, it's the things they want to know about right off the bat. So let me walk through that again with you. Our meeting should be about 30 minutes. We're going to cover how to maximize your price in this market. We're going to talk about how long it will take. We're going to talk about how much you can walk out of closing with, which, by the way, is one of the number one things they want to know. And then we're going to say, hey, and then at the end of our meeting, we discuss if working together makes sense or not. Does that sound fair? Always say yes. Okay. Now, the next question I ask is, hey, will all the decision makers be there when I arrive? I'm going to say, what do you mean decision makers? Well, all the owners of the home. Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, or no. If they say, yeah, you're in great shape. If they say no, say, oh, how come? And then I would reschedule the meeting to make sure all homeowners are going to be there. The worst thing you can do, if you've done this a lot, is go out and make the presentation to one person when there are two owners. That is not fun because the one person is not going to tell the second person everything that you said. They're not going to say it correctly. And the second person is just going to put the kibosh on hiring you because they didn't actually hear it, right? No matter what they tell you, no matter what they tell you, oh, I make the decisions or my spouses are going to do whatever I say. No, I want to talk to both of them. So I'll say, hey, if since we can't all get together at that time, let's reschedule. What is a good time for us to all get together so I can answer everybody's questions and make sure everybody has clarity what this whole thing is? Would blank or blank be a better time for you so that we can all meet? Okay. Now I just averted a huge waste of time by going out there and not being able to talk to all the decision makers. And by the way, another thing that would come up with decision makers is, say it's an example would be a young couple and one of their parents helps them make all their decisions. I run into that one. Okay, so that's why you're like, hey, all the decision makers, and they're like, what do you mean? You say, well, do you have somebody who helps you make decisions on this that you would like to have at this meeting? Oh, yeah, I'd really like to have my mom or my dad at this meeting. Great, why don't you invite them and have them join us? Okay, all right, next. So I can work up all the numbers. What is your approximate mortgage balance? Can't believe how many people don't ask this, but I need to know that to make my net sheet, right? And they're going to say, oh, I don't know. I say, hey, an estimate is okay. What do you think it is? And I'm just going to look, I'm listening, and then I'm going to do the record search and make sure it lines up. But I'd like to get that number. And the other thing that people forget to ask is, hey, do you have a second mortgage or a HELOC? And I say, what is that? Home equity line of credit. Have you borrowed anything else against your home? Okay. Because oftentimes today they'll have a first and a second. Okay, they pulled out some equity over the last couple of years, and we want to make sure that we have both of those numbers in our net sheet. All right, and then I say, hey, do you have any questions for me at this time, or is there anything else you want to make sure that we cover when we meet? All right, and I'm just trying to find out what else is floating out there that they're curious about, and I'm going to make sure that we address them. I'm taking notes. I say, hey, great, I look forward to meeting you on blank at blank, and boom, we have a appointment scheduled and pre-qualified. By the way, I'm also going to send out to them an email with this confirmation. I recommend you look into like a Calendly scheduler so you can know where to schedule your appointments. And the back end of that thing, if you've never used it, will send out reminders. It'll send out reminder emails and reminder texts. That's a little bonus for you to make sure that everybody shows up at the meeting ready to go and there's no confusion. That's the other nightmare. You knock on the door and they answer and they're like, who are you? Why are you here? Like, oh, I forgot about our appointment. Well, I'm sorry, we can't do it now because I'm taking the kids here or there, and then everything kind of falls apart. So that's why you want to make sure you've got that system that's doing the follow-up and confirming. All right, hopefully this was helpful for you to get a script, get the words that you need to use to qualify the appointment that you've scheduled to make sure it's going to be a good one, and also get all the information gathered that you need, like those mortgages, and also set the expectation for what the meeting is going to be. It goes pretty fast, by the way. This whole thing on the phone, if you're rolling along with somebody who's quick on the phone, you're probably going to be done within 7 to 10 minutes of scheduling the appointment all the way down to pre-qualifying and getting it in the books. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If it has, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so other people know that it's good. If it's not, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. It's okay with me. Give me your response and your review there. Also, if you like this material and it's been helpful, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you know the new material when it comes out as we're moving forward on this experiment. And then finally, if you have any questions about our questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments section below. Tell me, did I miss anything that you'd like to ask? Did I bring up a question you thought was pretty good? Go ahead and put that in the comments down below. And hope this has been helpful as you're moving forward. And we're working on this project to get 2 listings per month. All right, take care. Bye now.